And already going back into the finals, these players are not wasting any time. It's 1 a.m. my time right here at the time of the finals about to start here. We've got Ice Rider, Calyrex, VMAX, and we're about to find out who it's versus. Is BD Sax? Is that the Rapid Strike player from
That
earlier,
is the
James?
Rapid Strike player from earlier. So it is the Rapid Strike Urshifu Inteleon deck versus the Ice Rider Calyrex Inteleon deck.
All right.
And who do you think is favored in this matchup? Rapid Strike
So
Urshifu takes the cake?
yeah, I'm about to go just take a quick peek at the Urshifu list to see what they're playing. So they are playing Karate Belt, they are playing Telescopic Sight, and I do think having both of those tools at your disposal is important. And now the Ice Rider Calyrex is not playing a Mew, which most players have begun to omit because Rapid Strike fell off quite a considerable amount. So I do think without the Mew there, Rapid Strike Urshifu a lot of times has the potential to just shut down Ice Rider's support in a way that other decks don't. Because they're not locking abilities, they're not taking away your hand, they're just taking away your Sobbles or your Drizziles, and you can't evolve and get more things. Now, unfortunately, over on Rapid Strike's side, they did not get a turn one attachment. However, Ice Rider also had a pretty subpar start that would have just been completely obliterated if Rapid Strike got that turn one attachment.
Yeah, and as we do see, this is going to be a pretty big Gale Thrust here for 50 damage. But like you were saying, being able to KO both these Sobbles here would pretty much just lock the game up. That was the option taking place. Rapid Strike Urshifu, like you were saying, has seemed to have been falling off a bit in performance as of lately, as the format has shifted in certain ways. But it still is just an extremely powerful stage one card. I mean, you look at things from the past, such as Galissapod and things that had similar attacks like that, and putting that on a fighting type Pokemon is just an extremely powerful thing. Even before you factor in the secondary attack, rapid strike energy, things like that, it really feels like Urshifu is going to continue to be kind of have like a Pikarom effect, where maybe if it's even not the best deck in the format every time, it's still just always going to be something that players need to think about.
Yeah, I agree. And I think Rapid Strike Urshifu in this game specifically is just in a very good position because just a Gale Thrust plus evolve into a Chilling Reign and Teleon, and we're seeing Ice Rider go down and nothing to back it up. So I think Rapid Strike could take a very early lead here potentially if they have the right amount, if they have the right combination of cards, because this Drizzile would have to evolve into the Chilling Reign and Teleon, which we are going to see it evolve into the Sword and Shield and Teleon here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just going to mention that with just a Gale Thrust and quick shooting, that would be the KO on the Calyrex VMAX, which would obviously be quite detrimental to the board state with zero other play. But we are going to see the Shady Deals one come out instead and search the deck for any two trainer cards. So it will be interesting to see what is acquired here by the Inteleon Urshifu player. I'm probably looking for, looks like Birdkeeper and Tower as the play there. So that will let them maneuver around that Urshifu, be able to send up that one, be able to that one back, send up the VMAX, be able to Gale Thrust once again for 150, should that be the choice. But we do see the fighting energy up front, that shift back, and then that Gale Thrust that I was speaking of to put up to 300 damage.
Yeah, it's kind of awkward that Rapid Striker, she's going to have to take a 3-hit knockout on this Ice Rider Calyrex VMAX, which in today's game we don't typically see 3-hit knockouts anymore unless there's a lot of healing involved or it's some sort of wall Pokemon that has to be hit by suboptimal attackers. But because of Ice Rider's slow start, I think Urshifu is going to be at least not in the worst spot with having to take this 3-hit knockout. Um, I don't think there's anything either player has done yet that has uh been suboptimal. I think they're doing very well with the cards they're being given. It does stink that the Urshifu player didn't have the correct combination of cards to be able to get Chilling Reign Inteleon as opposed to Sword and Shield Inteleon on that crucial turn.
Agreed. As that would have just been unbelievable to be able to not only still have that Urshifu into play, but that still have that Rapid Strike energy well, and that would have been able to not only let them take the KO, but also leave only that Drizzile and Sobble in play on their side. But we do see that KO being picked up by baby Urshifu, actually being able to pick up that KO and also shift itself back to the bench. A pretty heads-up play here, promoting an Inteleon and really forcing them to both have a way to and a boss's orders. But what a good day to be an Inteleon player, an Inteleon Ice Rider player. If those are the things you need, as those are the things we have.
Yeah, on our side, we know that Ice Rider has exactly what Urshifu does not want them to have.
With the stamp to boot.
And the game is just completely flipped on its head, James. I feel like we've been saying this for the past 4 games now. Ever since reaching top 4, they have been roller coasters. And just like that, the Ice Rider player that I was about to count out is looks like they can't lose.
Yep. What an interesting turn of events. And this is something that is really, really interesting. Something that I have always said. So, I mean, I do a lot of complaining about in not being legal in formats, and people have always brought up, well, reset stamp, it has the same effect, right? Like, but reset stamp not being able to be used as a consistent card is one thing. But reset stamp being able to be searched out at will from all of these Drizzile and Inteleon decks has changed the format in such a drastic way. Being able to utilize these aggro plays, tempo your opponent out, punish them for getting too overextensive with their board state. It's made both players be able to have a lot of mind games in addition that changed the way that decks function. And it's very interesting to see how that's happened.
And just like that, Ice Rider is going to take game 1 of our finals here at the very first Celio Stats event, held on play.limitlesstcg.com and sponsored by potownstore.com. Best place to get your PTCGO codes if you haven't checked them out already. So we'll be going into a game 2 here. Rapid Strike Urshi, I feel like it might be a moot point to ask. They want to go first, right, James?
I feel like you have to. We're trying to evolve these vmaxes. We're trying to get down as soon as possible. We want that first attack. We want the potentially to eliminate those Sobbles on turn 2. Should we be able to get down the Urshifu with the energy on turn 1? We definitely want to be going first as the bear.
Yeah, absolutely. So that turn 1 energy attachment that was missed by Rapid Strike Urshifu, and with the butterfly effect, ended up being a loss. Because if they had that turn 1 attachment, that was rapid flow on the Sobbles, and Ice Rider was doing nothing.
Yep.
Now,
yeah, 0 effective cards in hand, and needing to be able to evolve into game started. If their Sobbles were deleted, then so were their game 1.
now
But we do see game 2.
Yeah, game 2 is about to start. And looking at the metagame spread real quick, Shadow Rider was the most popular deck in the tournament. Over 15% of the players chose Shadow Rider in some capacity. And seeing no Shadow Rider, but Urshifu, its supposed good matchup in the finals. Looks like Urshifu, like you said, it's able to just get through because it is an inherently good card. And so, like we thought, Urshi's going first now, but do they get that turn 1 energy? They do.
Energy is everything, and they
They
do
do.
get it down. As we see a pile of bosses, Melanie, kind of an awkward one over here.
It is quite the pile going on in their hand.
It's one of the downsides of these decks is they feel so good once you're able to put Sobbles into play and really start Pokemon picking what you are drawing with these Drizziles. But that turn 1 with all of the Inteleon deck really doesn't feel that great all that much of the time.
Yeah, and these decks are mostly omitting Crobat V and Dedenne GX these days because they don't want to start with those Pokemon. And, you know, you cut them because I'd say 70% of the time you're not playing them down because you can just search whatever you want with Drizzile. But in a hand like this, I definitely wouldn't have mind seeing a Dedenne.
Yeah, I agree with that. Especially where Path to the Peak is just so interesting and interacting with those cards as well. But we actually see the Rapid Strike energy be attached to the active as Strafe goes ahead and puts 30 damage and bounces back that active Urshifu.
So they whiffed the switching card, it would seem then.
Yeah, they whipped the switching card, but it was interesting because they put back a Drizzile with the communication so they could have gotten that switch by just evolving Sobble into Drizzile prior to using the professor's research in
But
their hand,
instead
but
they
opting not to do that.
calmed, but they calmed the Drizzile to get the Rapid Strike VMAX.
Yeah,
Which I do, put myself in their shoes for a moment. I do think I like that because you have a lot of things that search out Drizzile, or at least more
sure,
things because Level Ball gets it too.
for sure.
Whereas Level Ball isn't going to get you an Urshifu, so and it looks like they're not really going to be punished because Ice Rider Calyrex VMAX is not getting anything done really. Paying, did they not attach energy for turn?
It looks like they did not. It looks like they opted to not attach energy. I'm not quite sure what is going on with that. But it there is an energy card in hand, and there's on the field, and there's no retreats or anything that's taking place. So,
Yeah,
yep,
yeah, definitely
that's where we are.
peculiar. Yeah, I um I got so caught up thinking about Urshifu's game, and then I spaced back in and looked at Ice Rider's board, and I see energy in hand, but none on board. So definitely,
Yeah, and we do see that energy card get discarded for this quick ball. Going to go ahead and grab us another Saw as Melanie is going to go ahead and attach to the active, but we aren't really accelerating energy if we aren't still attaching our energy for turn.
yeah, we're
I mean,
kind of just even at this point.
yep. So it looks
And
like we are just going to go ahead and call it a day. Game 3 of our finals. So final game of the night, my as we're chugging right along here and in the finals of the first ever Celio Stats Open.
yeah, I'm quite excited. Now, James, was there a deck that you were just expecting to be in finals, and was it one of these decks?
Expecting if I had to put my money on be in the finals, it would have been Shadow Rider. I feel like that's probably the safest choice. It was the most played deck according to the metagame spread today. It's consistently been putting up probably the most of results at events. But I mean, both of these decks are in my top choices as well for the format. So I'm not surprised, but to see either of these decks perform well either.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's kind of like, or especially in post rotation, my top three are both Riders and Urshi.
Yep.
And it's almost like that in current standard as well. So I agree with you. I would have definitely picked Shadow with some capacity of alchemy being involved to be in finals.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, probably just one of these two decks. Um,
Yeah. And
yeah.
it's interesting because I mean, if those are the decks that, and I mean, not just your posts and everything, but it seems like everyone seems to be in agreement that those three are kind of the three that are heading into post rotation format here, as the top runners. But they're like you were saying, they're also kind of the top decks to beat before rotation. So that's just kind of interesting that now, after so long of what felt like a very stagnant format for 6+ months, we not only break open into what feels like a brand new format, but it's a format that we also seem like we're going to keep a lot of moving forward into the rotation.
Yeah, absolutely. There's bits and pieces that I wish we could keep. Um, Namely things like reset stamp. Um, and maybe bench barrier Mew, but it's also fine to have a format without a bench barrier. Not it would feel stale if there was just always a bench barrier Pokemon that interacted the same way. But yeah, I definitely agree with that. And we'll see here. Turn one from Urshifu as I keep calling with a Rapid Strike energy on Sobble. Not really where they want that Rapid Strike energy to be. And a one energy on Calyrex VMAX here, but not attacking. And both players getting set up, but not how they really pictured it being in their dreams, if I had a guess.
Mm-hmm. And important to note, evolving the benched Drizzile here, so as not to make their Rapid Strike energy fall off of the active Sobble, where that Drizzile is not a Rapid Strike one. That is a mistake that I have seen some players make from time to time as they have been playing with these cards, where the Sobble and sometimes the Rapid Strike and that Rapid on it. But you evolve into that Drizzile from Search Your Trainer, you may be less energized than you thought you. So we do see that energy spinner come out to search the deck for any basic energy, find a fighting energy card, and attach it to that Urshifu on the bench as we see Drizzile come down on Bobble.
Have we seen a rapid flow? I think we did in game one. It just hasn't. It just hasn't been in the ideal scenarios yet.
Yeah, we did see a rapid flow, but not an optimal one. Not like onto two Sobble slots.
Yeah, like right here would be
insane,
beautiful. But we see the energy attachment for turn happening, fighting energy to Urshi. So that's not going to be possible this turn. But yeah, Urshifu is still pretty good.
Yeah, taking out the Sobble in the front, even with the Gale Thrust, is going to be a very powerful equalizer to the board state. Is even with this Inteleon in hand, to be able to evolve, the Ice Rider deck does feel behind from this position, in my opinion. We do see that retreat go ahead and come out. And Gale Thrust going to go ahead and KO that Sobble in the front here. Do you think this this Leon will come into play at all in this matchup?
No, the Leon's really not something they want to see. Even if they used Ride of the High King twice with the opponent's current 4 Pokemon bench, that would be a 2-shot 130 plus 130. Leon is there for the tag teams that are still residing in the current standard format, because it just so happens that the tag teams are surrounded by Zacian, which is a natural enemy of Ice Rider. So things like Leon and Tool Scrapper to help OHKO tag teams definitely helps you even out your bad matchups to be winnable. So yeah, they're not really going to be looking for that card to be in their hand.
Makes sense. We do see the Capacious Bucket going to go ahead and add 2 water energy from the deck to the hand, as we see the bench Ice Rider going to go ahead and there, and the Road of the High King being used for the 130 damage there.
And I like the mindfulness to not play down that Sobble, because if the opponent rapid flows with the current board state, they're definitely knocking out a Sobble. Then they've got some decisions to make about where the other 120 goes. But if Ice Rider were to put down the second Sobble, easy decision. You're rapid flowing both Sobbles and trying to knock out a VMAX.
Yep. And in addition to that, though, other than the Sobble that's in play, we don't really have an out towards any kind of interesting turn here. We don't have a draw supporter for next turn. We could get there via some type of search card, Evolution Incense, or Level Ball for Drizzile if Sobble does stay in play there. But it is going to be interesting to see, because we are just kind of got some energy, got a boss's orders, but not really doing anything over here.
What's amazing here is Urshifu can knock out Crobat and put 180 on the benched Ice Rider, due to Passimian and Telescopic Sight, but instead they're going to put 130 on the active, which that's also fine in Martial Arts Dojo sticks, because Gale Thrust would be a 1-shot in the active. But potentially maybe should have been done to the bench just to get that extra damage on in case the dojo doesn't stick.
Yep, and we do see a Quick Ball go ahead and come out from the Ice Rider deck, but like you were saying, without a Dedenne or anything, there's not really anything that that. We do see the knockout take place there. Going to go ahead and discard the 2 water energy from the active and take the KO on the Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX.
And from here, they're just going to need an energy, and it will all be over with potentially Urshifu taking the win here. We'll just have to see if they have retreat into energy. And just to backtrack a tiny bit, I didn't really mind the board that Ice Rider was left with, because although they didn't have much of a turn to play with, they were poised to take prizes and attach to the benched one. So if the Urshifu player hadn't had that explosive turn of Telescopic Sight, Energy, Dojo, Passimian, just playing down all of these things to buff damage and attach energy. And speaking of buff damage, another Chilling Reign Inteleon comes down.
Yeah. As we see the shady dealings from Inteleon, the story of the tournament. I mean, just all of the Inteleon effects, Drizzile, all of that, being able to tailor your turns and being able to the trainer.
Oh, and there's the energy.
Go. Yep, we already have the energy there. So we're going to see the quick shooting come out onto the active. We're going to see that other quick shooting also come out onto the active switch, and a Gale Thrust should end the first Celio Stats Open with Rapid Strike Urshifu taking down Ice Rider Calyrex VMAX in the finals.
Wow, what a way to end it, with Urshifu taking down Chilling Reign. Like you said earlier during top 4, it could just be Battle Styles versus Chilling Reign and see what comes out on top. And it turns out, James, Battle Styles came out on top with Rapid Strike Urshifu, but of course not without the help of Chilling Reign Inteleon. And our screen here kind of just got messed up due to the player leaving the screen share, but that's what happens when we're relying on Discord. But what do you think about that finals match, James?
I thought it was exciting. I mean, I was excited that to a game 3 that we actually got to see both decks kind of do what they want to do optimally, as well as just kind of see what happens when you pair up the battle styles, Urshifu with the Chilling Reign, Ice Rider really that home. A lot of counterplay, a lot of decisions with the Inteleon and Drizzile effects. It was a lot of fun to be able to see these matchups today. I've really enjoyed being able to do this with you guys, and I appreciate the opportunity. You guys have had some fun as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I was mostly sitting back and producing everything, doing some behind the scenes stuff, but that was really great. I am a huge fan of Urshifu. It definitely sparked my hope for Sword and Shield sets back when it was revealed, and I've been saying this a lot, but I just kind of wish the first 4 Sword and Shield sets were kind of never there, and we started with Battle Styles. And perfect example of that, the final 2 decks being Battle Style and Chilling Reign focused. And we've talked a lot about that through the last 2 matches, looking at some of the similarities we might see from this format into post rotation. And there's a lot of things to be excited about on the horizon of the Pokemon trading card game. But there you have it, folks. Justin, and I do want to pronounce his last name correctly, Stites, winning the first ever Celio Stats tournament held on play.limitlesstcg.com, coming away the champion with a Rapid Strike Urshifu Inteleon versus Ice Rider VMAX. It was a heck of a first tournament. Thank you all for everybody who played and watched and participated in some way. And of course, this couldn't be done with our prize pool that we had without the support from our sponsor, potownstore.com. So definitely check them out if you need to buy some PTCGO codes. And also thank you to all of our staff, going to the PokeStats crew, to the judges, and of course our tournament organizer and head judge Isaiah Chevelle, and also all of the casters. James, you have any last words for the night before we let these people go to sleep?
I just think that at the end of the day, Fist Energy wins. So Fighting Energy, Urshifu going to go ahead and take home the win. Going to go ahead and make sure it stays on top. I'm interested to see packs and forward if we see Urshifu re-enter the meta. If we will see that be more, as it has never gone away fully, but just as we've seen those Mews, if we see those Mews decline, if we Urshifu rise back to some of its former top tier glory.
Absolutely. And with that, James, we're going to close out this tournament for tonight. Thank you, everybody, for participating, and we'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.